Hello everyone, welcome back to Old Charles. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of American coins, and we'll be exploring the United States 5-cent coin from 1981, also known as the Jefferson nickel. Whether you're a collector, an investor, or just someone curious about old coins, this video will give you the full story behind the 1981 nickel, its history, design, value, and how condition plays a huge role in determining its worth. So let's get started. The United States 5-cent coin, or nickel, has been a part of American coinage since 1866. By 1938, the U.S. Mint introduced the Jefferson nickel, replacing the Buffalo nickel. The Jefferson nickel features President Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his famous home, Monticello, on the reverse. Fast forward to 1981, and the Jefferson nickel was still going strong. This was during a time when the United States economy was struggling with inflation, rising interest rates, and unemployment. Despite all these challenges, millions of these nickels were struck at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. To give you an idea of production, in 1981 the Philadelphia Mint, no mint mark, struck over 657 million nickels. The Denver Mint, D mint mark, produced over 373 million nickels. And the San Francisco Mint, S mint mark, produced proof nickels for collectors, which were not meant for everyday circulation. This makes the 1981 nickel very common in circulation, but certain conditions and errors can make them much more valuable. Let's quickly look at the design of the 1981 nickel. On the obverse, you'll see Thomas Jefferson facing left, designed by Felix Schlag. The word liberty and the year 1981 are shown alongside the motto, "In God We Trust." On the reverse, we see Monticello, Jefferson's famous home in Virginia, with the words E pluribus unum, United States of America, Monticello, and the denomination 5 cents. The coin is made of a copper-nickel alloy, 75% copper and 25% nickel, weighing 5 grams and measuring 21.2 millimeters in diameter. Now let's talk about value. Most 1981 nickels you'll find in your pocket change are only worth their face value of 5 cents. Because so many were made, they are not considered rare in circulation. However, condition and mint errors make a huge difference. A typical circulated 1981 nickel is worth between 5 to 10 cents. An uncirculated coin in mint state condition, MS 60 to MS 65, can be worth 50 cents to $3. High-grade nickels in MS 67 condition or better can sell for $100 or more at auctions because they are so hard to find without scratches or blemishes. From San Francisco, especially those graded PR 69 or PR 70, can fetch anywhere between $5 and $30, depending on demand. There are also error nickels from 1981 that can be much more valuable. For example, off-center strikes, double dies, or nickels struck on the wrong planchet can sell for hundreds of dollars, depending on rarity and condition. When it comes to coin collecting, condition is everything. If you're holding a 1981 nickel in your hand, check for the following. Does it still have a strong shine and sharp details? Is Monticello on the reverse clear, with visible steps? Collectors call this full steps and it adds a premium. Are there scratches, discoloration, or wear on Jefferson's face? Coins with full steps designation on Monticello are particularly sought after. A 1981 nickel with full steps in high grade could be worth significantly more than a normal uncirculated example. So, while most 1981 Jefferson nickels are only worth a few cents today, the right coin in the right condition can fetch much higher prices, sometimes even over $100 if it's flawless or has a rare error. We're going to explore the fascinating story of the United States 1981 5-cent coin, also known as the Jefferson nickel. At first glance, it may seem like just another ordinary coin, but behind it lies a rich history, important economic background, and collectible value that may surprise you. Stay tuned as we uncover everything about this coin, from its long historical roots, to its design, its value today, and how condition makes all the difference. Let's start with the history. The American 5-cent piece, which we call the nickel, was first introduced in 1866, right after the Civil War. Before that, the U.S. Mint had produced a small silver half-dime, but with rising silver prices, the government needed a new coin made from a cheaper metal. That's when the copper-nickel alloy 5-cent coin was born. The nickel became an everyday coin that Americans relied on for small transactions. Fast forward to 1938, the Buffalo nickel, which had been in use for 25 years, was retired. The U.S. Mint held a design competition for a new coin, and the winning design came from German-born artist Felix Schlag. His design featured Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States, on the front, and Monticello, Jefferson's famous Virginia home, on the back. This became the Jefferson nickel, which is still used today with some modern updates. Now let's zoom into the period around 1981. By this time, the Jefferson nickel had already been in circulation for more than 40 years. The United States was going through significant economic challenges in the late 1970s and early 1980s. Inflation was high, unemployment was rising, and interest rates had reached record levels. President Ronald Reagan had just taken office in 1981, promising to revive the economy through tax cuts and economic reforms for the U.S. Mint. This period was all about mass production of coins. With millions of Americans using cash daily, billions of coins were struck each year to meet demand. In 1981 alone, the Mint produced over 657 million nickels at the Philadelphia Mint, which carried no mint mark at that time. More than 373 million nickels at the Denver Mint, marked with a small d. And a special batch of proof nickels at the San Francisco Mint, bearing the S mint mark, which were struck in mirror-like finishes exclusively for collectors. That adds up to over 1 billion nickels produced in 1981, making it one of the more common years for this coin. It's also important to note that by 1981, coinage had become an essential part of daily life in America. There were no smartphones, debit cards, or digital wallets. Instead, coins and paper money were the backbone of everyday transactions. A nickel could buy you a piece of candy, contribute to the price of a newspaper, or be used in payphones, jukeboxes, and vending machines. For millions of Americans, nickels from 1981 were jingling in their pockets every day. For collectors, however, the 1981 nickel is part of the late 20th century era of Jefferson nickels, a time when the design hadn't changed much since its debut in 1938. Some collectors see this as a modern classic, while others wait for rare conditions like full step strikes or unique minting errors to add value to these otherwise common coins. In fact, the Jefferson nickel has outlasted most other U.S. coin designs. While other denominations saw redesigns and special commemoratives, the nickel kept its traditional schlag design for decades, only receiving slight changes in the early 2000s. This makes the 1981 issue part of that long, continuous tradition of American coinage. When you hold a 1981 Jefferson nickel, you're not just holding 5 cents. You're holding a piece of America's economic history, tied to the challenges and changes of the early 1980s. So while most 1981 nickels are still worth only a few cents, the right one in pristine condition, or with rare errors, could be worth far more, sometimes even over $100. That's why it's always worth taking a closer look at the coins in your pocket or collection. We're talking about the United States 5-cent 1981 Jefferson nickel. At first glance, it may look like an ordinary coin, but its story, history, and especially its condition can make it worth far more than 5 cents. In this video, we'll cover the history, design, value, and most importantly, the condition, because condition can make the difference between pocket change and a highly collectible coin worth hundreds. Let's begin. Now let's spend some serious time talking about condition, because this is where things get interesting. In coin collecting, condition is everything. A coin's value is measured using a grading scale developed by professional numismatists. The most widely used is the Sheldon grading scale, which ranges from poor, P1, to a perfect mint state, MS 70. Here's how this scale applies to the 1981 Jefferson nickel. These coins are extremely worn down. Jefferson's face may be barely recognizable, the lettering weak, and Monticello's details almost gone. In this grade, the 1981 nickel is only worth face value, 5 cents. You'll still see Jefferson's profile clearly, but most fine details are missing. Monticello will appear flat, and the steps are completely gone. Again, still just face value. The major details are there, but wear is heavy. Monticello is still flat. These are still worth around 5 cents, maybe 10 cents to a beginner collector. Jefferson's hair and Monticello's outline have a little more detail visible. Coins in this grade may be worth slightly above face, around 10 cents. Now you'll notice sharper details. Jefferson's cheekbone and jawline are more defined, and Monticello's columns are clearer. These coins can reach around 25 cents in value. To this point, Jefferson's hair, eye, and cheek are well defined. Monticello is much sharper, though the steps are still weak. Value climbs toward 50 cents. These coins look nearly brand new, with just tiny traces of wear on the highest points of Jefferson's cheekbone and hair. AU nickels from 1981 can be worth $1 to $2. This is where collectors get excited. Mint state coins are completely uncirculated and show no signs of wear. However, they can still have contact marks or scratches from the minting process. Lower-end uncirculated coins, valued around $1 to $3. Higher quality, with better luster and fewer marks. These coins can be worth $5 to $20, a very high grade with exceptional eye appeal. A 1981 nickel in MS 66 can be valued at $50 or more. Almost perfect, with outstanding strike, luster, and no major flaws. These are rare for 1981 nickels, and can reach $100 to $200 plus at auctions. Proof nickels from 1981 were struck at the San Francisco Mint for collectors. These coins have mirror-like fields and frosted designs. A proof-graded PR 69 or PR 70 deep cameo DCAM can sell for $20 to $40. One of the most important condition factors for Jefferson nickels is the full steps designation. This refers to the steps on Monticello on the reverse. When a nickel is struck sharply, all 5 or 6 steps at the base of Monticello are visible and fully separated. Most nickels, especially from the 1980s, were not struck sharply enough for the steps to show clearly. This makes full steps nickels extremely desirable to collectors. Asterisk, a 1981 nickel in MS 65 full steps could be worth $100 or more in MS 66 full steps. The price can climb to several $100s, depending on the auction, so if you're checking your 1981 nickels, pay close attention to those steps. They can make all the difference between a common coin and a collectible rarity. So, the bottom line is, condition determines value. A worn 1981 nickel might only be worth 5 cents, but a pristine mint state full steps example can be worth hundreds of dollars. The next time you come across a Jefferson nickel from 1981, don't just spend it. Take a closer look at the details, check for luster, and especially examine Monticello's steps. You might have a hidden gem in your hands. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Old Charles, and hit the bell icon so you never miss another coin story. Thanks for watching,